Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Logical Nonsense Podcast. Today we have Greg Thomas on, a former Arkansas football player, quarterback for them, I believe. Played a little bit of running back, if I'm not mistaken, from the
Mistaken. Never did.
mistaken. That's what
Yeah,
the stats say. So you
yeah.
gotta tell the stats book they're
Well,
wrong.
that's someone doing Wikipedia. Someone just
Okay.
trying to,
Okay.
that's
Hey,
not
I
true.
wasn't doing Wikipedia. I was looking at a college football reference. College football reference got it wrong. I'll call them up, let them know
Please
that
do.
Greg says they're wrong.
100%.
But we got former Arkansas quarterback as well as high school state winning, correct?
Correct. 40-0.
Plano East, right outside of Dallas.
Well, I'm actually assistant coach. I sit
Assistant.
beside the head coach. Yes, sir. So we always want to get that right. I sit right beside the man.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's hop right in first by introducing yourself much better than I just did. Yeah, let's start there.
My name is Greg Thomas. I am in my 28th year with the Plano Independent School District. I now work with the truancy division through the safety and family services for the past 5 years, where I now go out and work with students that are in jeopardy of not graduating high school and try to get them
That's
back into the
awesome.
fold and get them that necessary high school diploma that everyone should have.
That's awesome. And talk a little bit about your past and who you are. Like what experience you had to become a coach and that kind of thing.
Well, I am the son of a coach.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And actually, my father, Ali Sr., was an All American in 1940, I believe, 41, at Houston Tillerson College. Now, people won't know who that is or what it is. It is a historical black college in Austin, Texas. And so he was also a state champion head coach at Blackshear High School. So I had the both worlds, a father that was pretty good, who also coached the state championship team himself in 1950. I was raised in San Angelo, Texas, was coached by Jimmy Keeling, who gave me every opportunity to learn, to grow, and put me in a situation where I could excel. Whereupon we played well as a group, made the state playoffs in 1982, I believe. And a year later, I earned a scholarship to the University of Arkansas to play football.
That's awesome. Talk about your journey of playing sports growing up. What was that like? I know you said your dad was a coach. Were you playing, football, basketball, baseball? Was it everything, or was it mostly focused on football?
No, it was everything. We
Yeah.
we ran summer track.
Yeah.
We played volleyball with the girls, even though there was no volleyball boy team.
Yeah.
But we played everything, and I began in the third grade. They didn't have a sanctioned team for third graders, so we played up with the fourth graders. And then the following year, we had our own fourth grade team, by which I played with some of the best friends and still friends and teammates from the third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. I believe we were 42-2.
Oh, wow.
Um, Lost our very first game and lost our very last game in elementary. Likewise, we did the same in basketball. We won like 50 games in basketball. It was a great experience to win as a youth. And once you get used to winning as a youth, if you have the right motivation, you have the right desire, it can propel you to high school. And if you had the same competitive spirit with great teammates and great coaching, which I had at Central, it gave me an opportunity to see the world. And to see the world is what the University of Arkansas gave me.
Definitely. Definitely. No, I mean, I think whenever you can get the correct coaching and the right foundation that can set you up for success, I think that shows in athletes' careers for sure. Um,
100%.
Talk about that recruiting process a little bit. I know obviously a lot, well, maybe not as different, but what did your recruiting process look like when you were in high school, and what teams were you looking at?
Well, the recruiting process 40 years ago is quite different. We
Yeah.
played one game against our district rival, Odessa Permian. If you ever studied Texas high school football, Odessa Permian is a great program also. And our teams were good enough. We were ranked 1 and 2 in the state, and then we played on a Saturday. they actually moved the Angelo State college team to early in the day and then put us as a night game on a Saturday. We played in front of 21,000, 22,000
Wow,
people for a district game, or
that's
like some teams would say conference.
crazy.
So I believe my senior year, the smallest crowd we played in front of was 14,000. So we
Yeah,
had a pretty good football program.
yeah, that's crazy. I come from Idaho, so that's like that's nuts to me.
Right.
Like my biggest game I probably ever played in was in front of like 2,000 people. So that's crazy.
22,000, a,
Yeah.
a district or a conference game as they do it now. And we actually had over 100 plus coaches come
Wow.
to a game. So I had the greatest experience in high school playing with some great teammates, guys that went to Texas A&M, went to Baylor, Texas Tech, New Mexico. We had a pretty good program, and we had coaches that taught us. We learned how to travel. We learned how to pack bags. We learned how to stay overnight in high school, and this is 40 something years ago. So it was a unique experience, but we do everything bigger and better in the state of Texas. So it was a pretty cool thing, and it prepared me for college. How it has changed today. Most people do their recruiting through video or word of
Yeah.
mouth or through camps. In
Social
those
media.
days, the coaches would come and they would camp out at your house
Wow.
and not try to confront other coaches coming in, or if I had Baylor come in, then Texas Tech coaches would come in 30 minutes later, or I would
Wow.
have Oklahoma coaches come in, and then you know A&M coaches would come in, 30 minutes later, and they would just counter and do crazy things that you don't see them doing today, because now we have different agents and people in the corner that are doing it. But in those days, you would have they would sleep in cars across the street and do all those kind of funny things.
That's crazy. Do you think the recruiting system today is better than it was 40 years ago? Or do you think the old school style of recruiting kind of had that, I don't know, that old school flair to it and it was better back then?
It was more personal back then. So
I like that.
you really
Yeah.
got to know your coaches, and they try to spend time with you, whether or not they're telling you the truth. They just trying to get you in the camp. But it was different than going to a camp, somebody sending you a video, someone inviting you to do these different things, and it was how I'd see it on a regular basis. I prefer the old school, but with now with technology and
Yeah.
um, now with like 7-on-7 camps for football. Same thing we do in the AU with basketball. It has changed, so it's not as personal.
Yeah. It's definitely not as personal. And I would also say, like, kids from smaller states, I think it is tiny bit easier for them to get noticed. Like, you come from state of Texas, who's what's known for football, right? Like, so many great recruits out of Texas, so many great professional football players, and just sports in general from Texas, right? So I think it definitely, the now I think has expanded more kids to get noticed, but I definitely like what you said about the more personal touch of 40 years ago. I think that's kind of a lost art. It doesn't seem to be as personal unless you're a top 5 recruit.
Yes, I agree with that. And the difference, today's coaches, the younger coaches, they have a different mental aspect to the game also.
Yeah.
So their personal and their personalities are somewhat different than when I played, because we had the old school. It was my way or the highway.
Yep.
The coaches today, the younger coaches that are real effective, that get those players, they have a different kind of personal relationship. But they're here and gone, because a coach can be gone the next day, and that youth may try to follow the coach. And now you add in the NIL and the money aspect, so it has changed 100% in that aspect. Now, it's
Yeah.
not like we didn't get paid, or they didn't do stuff under the table and you didn't know. Everything is above board now, so it's a little bit or slightly different.
Definitely. What made you choose Arkansas over some of the other schools that were interested in you?
Well, honestly, I didn't choose Arkansas till late. I was
Yeah.
a week late. my goal was to stay in the state of Texas. And I played in the old Southwest Conference, the league that was so good that is now not a league anymore.
Yeah.
We couldn't follow the rules. But it really came down between Texas Tech and Baylor for me. Uh, I'm from West Texas, so Tech was closer, but I didn't want to stay in the same kind of environment.
Yeah.
My father was also from East Texas, about 10 miles from Waco. So I chose Baylor. Um, and then Baylor, I'll say now, they reneged on the deal on the last day. They decided they wanted a different position player, and I understood it, but it was heartbreaking.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sure. Yeah.
when everyone was
That's
sitting at
awful.
home, when everyone was signing, I'm sitting at home. Literally, I'm crying because
Yeah.
I know I can play. I know I've played as well or better than my teammates, and I was happy for them. But my road was somewhat dicey, and I didn't know what to do. So my head coach, Jimmy Keeling, at that time, um, who I stay in contact with, on a monthly basis, still to this day, he got on the phone. He found out that the University of Arkansas was losing a coach. The Air Force Academy was losing a coach, and he found out they were going to switching places. We ran a similar offensive style. Got in contact with the University of Arkansas. I still had another visit back to A&M. I had another, conversation with Coach Selden at the University of Oklahoma and Coach Johnson over at Oklahoma State before he left. But I chose to go visit Arkansas because I'd never been to Arkansas. Upon walking into the office and meeting the other guys in the position in the quarterback room, I knew that's where I needed to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Describe your style as a QB in high school and then how it kind of transitioned into college.
Okay, in high school, we ran the wing T.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the wing T,
Yep.
you have two pulling guards, you have an offset, the fullback, a flanker, and then you also have a tailback. And as long as we were in whatever position for that current play that coach called, he didn't care what formation it looked like. But our
Yeah.
main offense was the wing T. But we threw out of the shotgun, we rolled out, we threw timing passes, so I didn't have a problem doing that. But we had great running backs.
Yeah.
So three of my four running backs played. Two played at A&M. One went to Angelo State. One went to North Texas. So we were stellar at running the ball, and that's what we did. We ran the ball about 90% of the time. So when I went to college, everyone thought I was going to be a running back. No, I could throw the ball. We just didn't need to throw the ball when you have four capable guys that can run the ball, and we did.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but when I got to Arkansas, we started out my freshman year trying to reinstitute the old wishbone that Coach Hatfield had. And I played for Ken Hatfield at Arkansas, and he was just recently, prior to coming to Arkansas, was the AFCA, American Football Head Coach of the Year, and the Air Force they were 10-2, and so he wanted to bring that style back to Arkansas, and we did. And he wanted to run the ball 90% of the time. And then we found out in the Southwest Conference you can't do that. You have to put the ball in the air. And that's from wear and tear, that's from style of plays, from bigger, faster players, all the above. And that was our style. And so we eventually got to the point to where we would drop back and throw, roll out, drop back, down the line. As ran shotgun, we ran the bone, we ran it out of an ace formation. We did everything to try to gain advantage on the great teams in the Southwest Conference.
Yeah. No, I mean, tough conference. I was just looking at all the teams that were involved in the Southwest Conference. I didn't even know it was a thing until today, if I'm being honest with you. So, I feel like I know my football knowledge pretty well, but did not know that was a thing. So
Well, you
that's
need to
that's
research the
awesome.
South. You need to research it, and that was the best conference in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean,
They were it was the best conference. The SEC, what you see today, was not the SEC.
yeah.
You had better teams that were independent at that time and playing for national championships, such as Penn State was an independent. They weren't a part of the Big Ten. The University of Miami was an independent. They were not a part of the Big Ten. What are they in now? The ACC now. So it was a different style, different conferences, and everything was regional in those days. Now everything is national. Everyone's trying to come up with a major conference. And a lot of that stems from the Southwest Conference dissolving, the Big Eight becoming the Big 12, and then the Big 10 with 12 teams, etc.
What do you think of the conference realignment as somebody who was in a conference like the Southwestern Conference?
Well, like I said, it was regional. The best part for me being from Texas and playing at Arkansas, I could come home every other week.
Yeah.
And my parents and my family would come to games. Now, it was commonplace for me to need 20 tickets in Texas.
Yeah.
So I would trade my tickets with my teammates in Arkansas. I'll pay for them through them so they could get my tickets. And I had 50-yard line seats for 4 years. So,
Yeah.
my seats were right in the middle. But in Texas, where most of the kids and most of my family live, they came to all the games. I
Yeah.
mean, they would go out, they would drive to Waco. We have a little family reunion. Drive down to College Station. They be down there in Luland and have a miniature reunion. We play here in the Metroplex where my mom is from, here in Dallas. But they go to TCU or the SMU games, no problem. And the other side of my dad's family lived in Houston, so they would come to the Houston or the Rice game. So I had the best of both worlds here in Texas. But the conference realignment and the way it is today is totally, totally different
Yeah.
uh, from when I played. Now we got teams in like USC and UCLA in the Big Ten,
Yeah.
and then they're playing in New Jersey when they're playing Rutgers.
It's weird.
And they got
Doesn't
Maryland,
seem
they
right.
playing in Atlanta. Man, you can't prepare to play a Saturday game and you have to leave on Thursday so your body can adjust. It's just totally different.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so interesting that like all it's become now that's important to conferences is the money aspect and the TV deals and what teams can make you the most money. I don't know. It's crazy that the regional aspect of it seems to not matter. I mean, even professional sports, right?
Hmm.
The regional aspect has some sort of meaning in their conferences and their divisions. So I think it's wild to me that that's gone completely out the window. I mean, you're not really usually expecting guys on during conference play before the last few years to travel hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles to just play a conference game.
Never did. That's
Yeah,
a bowl game. I
yeah,
played our team. Let me take a step back. The teams I played with at Arkansas, we played in the Holiday Bowl, which is in San Diego.
yep,
Then we turned around and played in the Orange Bowl in Miami. Then we played in Memphis in the Liberty Bowl, and we also played in Hawaii. So I got to put my foot in the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean
yeah,
coming from Texas in the same year, same calendar year. It
yeah,
was unbelievable. And that was the reward for having a great team.
yeah,
If you understand what I'm saying, not a conference game, not a uh, just a regular game. This is a reward to having a
yeah,
great season.
exactly.
You got a chance to do that. Now they just travel to travel, and I'll be honest, it's not about academics. It's about
No,
it's all about the money.
no, it's definitely all about the money. What was the toughest college football team you played during your years at Arkansas?
Now let me try to help you out. Toughest game or toughest road trip because they're all A&M is the hardest place that we played in.
I would say let's go both. Let's go toughest individual team you played and then toughest game on the road.
College Station is unfreaking believable. Next to our stadium in Little Rock, which is almost a non-go these days, going to going to Kyle Field is amazing. They stand up the whole game. They do this connect. They move side to side. They yell. They blow cannons. I mean, it is a crazy but fun atmosphere to play in.
Yeah.
Um, Now, the hardest game, the toughest team was the Baylor Bears. They were
Yeah.
always more physical and tried to intimidate. I would get championship wrestling slammed
Yeah.
playing against Baylor. I mean, they hit you late, they hit you hard, they hit you often, and they were the most physical ball club. But it's nothing like playing in those ball games. It's nothing like playing in front of, in those days, 55 to 75,000 fans that are standing on top of you, saying and doing any and everything to you. I mean, today's crowds are loud, but they're nothing like the old crowd. They don't, the things that were said to me that I won't repeat on here is unbelievable. Um, and it makes you circle your wagons. And I had some great brothers with me at the University of Arkansas, and that's exactly what we did. We just, it's us against the world. We come in here to play. We be in Jackson, Mississippi, play the game, get out. You know, we go play at Kyle Field. We drive in, we fly in, then we ride a bus, play the game, get back on the bus, go to the airport, and we're back out of the state. And it's because it was good, hard, hateful, vengeful football.
I love that. I love that. I love the way you describe that too. Just like, people aren't saying the right things in the crowd, but instead of letting it like knock on you or not allowing you to play or really get to your head, you just lean on your brothers on the field there. I love that. What would you say is the hardest adjustment you had to make going into college football?
Speed of the game.
Yeah.
That was it. Speed of the game. Well, you got guys bigger, faster, stronger, more experienced. But the speed of the game, how fast these guys can move
Yeah.
and act and react. And it's different. I grew up playing big time Texas high school football.
Yeah.
And I was prepared, but you're never prepared to play grown men. And no
Yeah.
matter how big and strong and fast, something you have to learn to play at that kind of pace. Um, and so my biggest adjustment was the speed. It wasn't getting hit. It wasn't getting run down because I didn't get run down much, but everyone was faster. But the speed of the game is, I mean, there's houses moving. It's not little people. I mean, big houses coming, trying to
Yep.
tear your head off. And you have to learn how to fall. You got to learn how to manipulate. You got to learn how to get out of the way.
Yep.
And then you have to learn how to take a sack or throw the ball away. Things
Yep.
you never do in most times in high school. You can make everybody miss. You don't get run down from behind. Within the first 3 or 4 days of scrimmage, and I got six guys that were faster than I was, that were quicker than I was.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to manipulate those guys, find windows, and then earn the trust of your coaches to put you in those kind of situations.
Yeah. No, I think that's another great point you bring up. I'm preparing to do some sort of like mock draft on my channel right now. And looking at the QBs always amazes me, especially when I watch other people criticize QBs because like you said, the speed of the game is so fast and it's a second. They could be a second late on a read or a decision and instantly that criticizer or whoever's watching or analyzing the film is like, "Yep, too late on that decision." And it's like it's crazy to me that football is down to a millisecond of a decision, and especially like what you were talking about when you have 6'6" guys faster than you coming at you. If you make just a slight hesitation, you're down on the ground, you're sacked, that's the end of the play right there. So I think it is interesting watch college football quarterbacks react to the speed of the game.
It is what it is. You learn to adjust, and it is what it is. If you think college football is dealing with that, can you see that it keeps popping on the screen here?
No.
Okay, then I won't worry about it if it pops. Um, the if you think it's fast in college football, and it is, I'm going to tell you it is. And I don't worry about analysts, don't worry about a whole bunch of guys that
No, I know.
never played because then I have a negative follow up that gets me in hot water a lot of time. But imagine what it is in basketball.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be a contact sport, and it is. And how fast and long and athletic these cats are. Um, and then they play with crazier rules with a ball, and you shoot and you rebound. And just imagine how big. Let's take Shaquille or Bill Cartwright in the old days, or Will Chambers, or any of
Look at
those guys.
yeah, look at Wemby now.
Yes, Wemby's another one that's long, fast, athletic, can do all this stuff, but he has a skill set. He has
Yep,
a skill set now that they didn't possess 25 years ago.
exactly.
And so imagine that coming at you. Are you trying to guard it? Or when I played in the SWC, the DBs were the best players. They
Yeah,
were the most athletic, the All Americans, like the Thomas Ayers, the Jerry Grays. Um, these cats could cover ground and they
yeah,
come up there and lay the wood. So if you're late on a read, that won't be a knockdown. That may be an interception. Now you
yeah,
got to play defense because you done thrown the interception in the flat.
yeah,
So, nowadays they're bigger, faster, stronger than what we were. And the teams I played with at Arkansas was big and fast. And
yeah,
these guys today are bigger and faster. And they're more skilled because now everyone works on skills instead of technique. You know, Give me the old days. If you got a skill set receiver, I put a head on him. Ain't got to worry about him catching no more ball. But now we can't hit people anymore. So now it's a skill game.
yeah.
It's an entirely
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a different world. If I have to worry about, Thomas Lott taking my head off, or my teammate, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, at 6'4" and a half, 225 pounds, and I'm trying to catch a slant, shucks, man, he gonna knock your ass out. And
Yeah.
Steve did. Nowadays, he be, fined or suspended for a whole game, and subject to not being drafted or playing for playing a physical game, and that's how it's changed.
No, I mean that's another great point you bring up with the rules changing. I mean, you talked about Steve Atwater. I mean, there's plenty of guys that would do that to the middle of the field, and now it
Yeah,
feels like guys are running slants freely. That used to not be the case. You used
right,
to not run a slant like that. Ray Lewis or any one linebacker you want to put in there, right? Any legend, they would knock your ass out if you
yeah. Quentin Corey, I
ran.
knocked the kid out here in TCU, knocked him out. I
Yeah,
remember seeing him in the game, hardest leg I saw on television and heard it, and going like, man, he may not get up, and the kid didn't get up.
that's
But that
awesome.
was the
Yeah,
price you paid during that time of era of football when you crossed the middle.
yeah.
Because it's my job to intimidate you and not to let you catch. I understand the rules. It don't mean I have to agree with them. I know why it's in place, uh,
Yeah,
and I didn't benefit from it. Like I don't benefit from the NIL today, but I was one of those players that you know we should have. We
yeah,
should have. And
yeah,
so everything evolves, and it is what it is. I appreciate. I love the game. It gave me an opportunity to see the world. Gave me a great education of both mentally, spiritually, because it was a challenge from when I went to the university, and I was the first, the black to start, got the most wins, and still got the most hated males, the most death threats, all that kind of stuff in the '80s, and it was part of my growth as an individual. But that was the life, and that was the little cross that I had to bear.
yeah. I mean, that's nuts. I can't even imagine what you went through. I actually did not know that. Did you say you were the first black quarterback?
First
At
to start, I was the second one. I was the first one to start. The first was Martin Lamar, and he came in 74, I think 75. He played 5 plays and was gone. I
Wow.
came 10 years later, and was a 4-year Letterman, 4 years straight bowl, 3-year starter. Um, and it was a challenge to say the least.
Yeah,
I'm
I
telling
can't
you,
even
I had
imagine.
great teammates, man. Brothers I talk to every day, someone I speak to every day. Um, and we grew up. We grew up in life. We grew up as football and basketball players, and grew up as students.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't even imagine what to begin to imagine what that's like, but I think it's cool because you have created a stepping stone to make it normalized now,
Right.
right? Like we see some of the greatest athletes, greatest quarterbacks today. Um, as African American, as Black quarterbacks, right? So I think it's huge that, people like you were willing to take the adversity, willing to take the hate mail and the death threats so that people can succeed today. So
Well, Hunter, I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't willing. It just came.
yeah, true. That's true. That's true. I'm just saying, like,
Um,
you
but
you could have quit though, is what I
yeah,
mean by
well,
willing.
God is good. He didn't give me the spirit of quit, so
Yeah.
that was an option. I also had a father that would not allow me to quit.
Yeah.
But at that time in the mid '80s, I was one of nine, I think, in D1 football in the United States. I was one of nine.
That's crazy.
Um,
It's, like, hard to even wrap my brain
yeah,
around
I
that,
was one
like,
of
'cause
nine.
it's so like I said, it's so, like, normal
Yeah,
today, you
well,
know?
and if you look back, I saw something on X, Twitter yesterday. They were talking about the black quarterbacks that have played for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
All right, and they were talking about. I'm talking about all the way back to Randall
Cunningham.
Cunningham,
Yeah.
and then you had that Syracuse. Golly, I can't even think of all the guys right now. But we all played at that time. Randall Cunningham was like one of my. You can't say he was an idol because he's like 3 or 4 years older, but he was someone that I was following when he left UNLV. But that McPherson, that's what it was. It was Randall Cunningham, McPherson. Oh my God, I can't remember all these guys' names. I should and shouldn't have brought it up if I couldn't remember it. Anyway, they've had 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember when there were 9 in 1985
Yeah. That's
national,
crazy.
and six, well, 4 to 6 of us were in the South. So you had Don King at SMU, you had me at Arkansas, you had my man at A&M right now. Dad, uh, Kevin Murray was at A&M. You had the guy at Rodney Peete at USC. Rodney Peete was at USC. You had the other guy at Michigan State, and you had McPherson that was at Mississippi State.
Wow.
In the nation, there was
That's crazy.
125 D1 schools at that time, and there was only 9. And so I didn't think about it. Just wanted to play ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you
Give me an
can do.
opportunity. That's you asked me earlier in your question there. What was the difference of why I chose football? I chose football so I could play quarterback. I could
Yeah.
have played college basketball. I had Major League Baseball scouts in my house,
Yeah.
baseball, and my father discouraged it because he said I wasn't mature enough to travel and play baseball. So you're going to go to school. You can either go to college and play basketball, and you can go play football. Well, I could play basketball, but in those days, I'd just be a 6 foot guard.
Yeah.
We didn't shoot the ball that much, but who can say you can have an opportunity to be a college quarterback, a D1 quarterback, get a chance to play on television, get a
Fair
chance to
point.
play in front of your family every other week? So I said, hey, I'll try this quarterback thing. And it worked out wonderful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Really cool story. What's your favorite memory while you're there at Arkansas?
Playing football,
Yeah. It can be on or off the field.
well, on the field is just being with the guys.
Yeah.
There's nothing like playing and being a part of something bigger than yourself,
Yeah.
and everyone pulling in that same direction.
Yep.
So, biggest victory to me was to be the first to beat Texas and Austin in
Yeah.
20 some years. That was pretty special. I played on a field that my father could not even walk on. So my father graduated there in 1940 something. He couldn't walk on the field at the University of Texas. And then in '86, I get a chance to not only play there, play on national television there, but to win there. And my father didn't even go back to the game. He didn't even go to Austin to watch it. He stayed at home. That's how deep,
Yeah.
it was with him, and how, he was still older and a little bit handicapped, but he wouldn't even go to the stadium. He didn't want to go. He said, I just watch it. And so I know what he felt, as we all felt as a team winning there for the first time in 20 something years. But it was deeper to me. It was way deeper.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. No, that's wild.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Wow. That I mean, like, that's just it's just so messed up.
That was the world we were living in,
Yeah,
and you have to understand it and try not to let it come back. That's how you combat
definitely.
those kind of thought processes and behavior. But it is what it is.
Definitely. Definitely. What got you well, actually, first, before we hop into high school coaching, I wanna give you a chance to promote your book. I know you said that you have well, I know you have a book out
Yeah.
currently and that you're working on another one, so I'll let you take the mic for a moment and talk about your books.
I'm gonna get it for you. Here's a copy of it right here. No Doubting Thomas, Hawk Whisperer, my Arkansas memoir. It's available on Amazon or wherever you purchase your reading material. It is a 5-time award-winning book. I've also had the opportunity to reach out or been contacted about making it into an adaptation, a movie adaptation.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but I'm not knowledgeable about the process and what they were offering. I'm not going to take. So if someone wants to come and talk to me and do it correctly, then I'm up for it. My second book, and today I just finished my new book cover, and I'm not going to show it because it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, the title is hashtag Making Believers, and it is the follow up to our 23-24 state championship team here in Texas high school basketball. We were 40-0. We were the first team in the last 20 years to go undefeated in the state of Texas. And we won our very first state championship at Plano East in basketball. It's going to be very interesting, man. I can't wait
I'm excited.
to
Yeah.
tell the story of 14 young men. That's basically what it is, and how they bonded together, been playing ball on the same team since they were in third and fourth grade. It's just a journey that they took and how they found a way to trust enough and do what was asked. And we found a way to get out of their way and allow them to do something very, very special. And it's just going to be a nice little read.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you, and I'll definitely have to check both books out, definitely, especially when the second one comes out too, so that's awesome. And, are you on social media? Can people find you on social media at
Oh
all?
yeah, I'm on X at at Greg Thomas 08. I'm on Instagram at Greg GT Thomas 08. I'm on Facebook. Like I said, I have my own website that I'm starting to comprehend now, and that's gregthomasconnect.com. I'm learning that also, but when you work and do the things that I do during the day, and I'm out, driving around Plano trying to find students, it's difficult to sit down and write and follow up and do all that stuff. So I'm learning, and I'm learning to put the story out. And like I said, the No Doubting Thomas is my story. All right, it's about my little trials and tribulations and some of the things that I had to work through. And it is my story. I didn't let anyone manipulate it. I didn't try to throw anybody under the bus. I talked about the highs and lows of playing college football uh, and how people can not appreciate it and mistrust and crazy things happen. But it happens to a lot of us. The hashtag Making Believers is going to be just a great high school story. And I try to make sure that I put it not in the category of Hoosiers or, you know,
Yeah.
Carter, because many of those challenges we didn't have. We have a real good life out here, but for 14 young men to come together and put that story out and to accomplish what they did, our head coach Matt Wester put together one of the best schedules you could ever have. We traveled 31 of the 40 games on the road. We prepared for you know that opportunity, and they rose to the occasion.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds like a very exciting story, so I'm sure everyone will be excited to pick it up after this
Yeah.
interview. What got you interested in coaching?
I was brought to Plano to combat we were having a crisis in the late 90s, early 2000s with a drug epidemic, not just at the school, but in the entire state of Texas.
Yep.
I was brought in to help mitigate, inform, uh, walk young people through situations where we weren't turning to drugs and alcohol. And so I
Yeah.
was hired to do the drug and alcohol uh, program for the school district. And I had been here maybe 3 years, and the head basketball coach at that time, Coach Adair, walked over to me and asked me, he said, I want you to come to a couple basketball games. I think I have a position for you. At the last game of the year, he said he wanted me to be his assistant coach. And so then I walked into a situation that he needed an assistant. I needed a different challenge.
Yeah.
And in 2003 and 4, I accepted that challenge. And it has been the best thing that could have happened to me at that time. It gave me a chance to work with, 27 kids,
Yeah.
27 young men. Um, as a young man, it gave me a different motivation. And then I also had a position there with the school where I could work and meet. And we had 3,000 students on our campus. Now I'm in front of almost 3,000 students, good and bad.
Yep.
And then I was also put in a position as a male and a black male to be a basketball coach. So I've had an opportunity, and I'm going to be honest with you, to touch thousands of lives over the
Yep.
last 28 years that I might not have been able to had I taken another job or not taken that one position. That position opened the door for hundreds of kids to make changes, and I would like to think that those changes they made uh, gave them a better opportunity in life.
Definitely. No, definitely. I get it. I totally get it. My mom is a teacher, and
Hmm.
my family has been in the school system, so I totally understand what you mean about opportunities and giving kids a second chance, and even when they're on the wrong path, trying to guide them to the right path. So I totally get it. And I think coaching, especially, I've seen it so many times where a kid, he might be only going to school because of sports, but if that's the only reason he goes to school and gets a diploma, he's better off for it in the long run. So I think coaching is a very underrated um, skill and a very underappreciated art of um, life right now.
Well, I thank you, and I want to applaud your parents. My parents were both educators, as well
Yeah,
as my grandmother. Um, and we have to do a better job of taking care of our teachers
definitely,
because young people spend
definitely,
more time at school than they do at home. I don't understand how
definitely.
lawmakers
Yeah,
are going to sit up there and we can pay other people, but we don't want to pay the people that are really there trying to take care of your kids. Um,
absolutely.
but it's a blessing, and it's been a blessing. And for me, I say I pay it forward
Yep.
because if my older brother Sam Green, Henry Green, uh, didn't pour into me as a youth, then I would not have met Bob Beavers, Butch Davis, Jimmy Keeling. Those coaches turned around and poured into us, and now players like myself and Clarence Bowman, one of my classmates that's going to retire after 35 years. How many people have we been able to touch and talk to?
Yeah,
That's what it's really all about. How do we pay it forward? And sports was a good way for me to do. I was going to touch people with my other position anyway,
yep,
but the basketball avenue opened up some other doors and more doors that I was able to be seen and then be heard and then try to do stuff right to be a guide. And it's been a total blessing there also.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Talk about what it was like transitioning from being a player or an athlete to being a coach.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Because as a player, I can control it. You
Yep.
can't control these young people, and
Nope.
they don't see it the same. But you have to find a way to reach and touch and motivate and sometimes get on them. But as a player, I can control a lot of what's going on. As a coach, you think you control it. You try to get them to buy
Yep.
into what you're selling. And then if you do it and you get that trust, then they start believing. And once they start believing, then great things happen. But as a coach, man, sometimes we gotta take a step back.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to kick a ball. Sometimes we have to talk under our breath as we telling them don't talk under their breath. We do because
Yeah.
there is a whole different level of communication and
Yeah.
trust that they have to believe that you have in them, and then you have to get out the way and let them do what they do. And
Yeah.
when it's good, it's good. Sometimes when it don't work out, it's not as good, but that doesn't mean you don't try. You don't get out there and do it again.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's you know, I think coaching is hard because, you come up with this theory or this game plan, and you work so hard and you try to, like you said, you try to get your players to buy in, but at the end of the day they're the ones playing the game, not you.
Yeah.
So it's really up to them, and it's really up to, like you said, trust and believing in what your coach is teaching you. So what would you say is the biggest difference you have seen from championship teams to non-championship teams?
Buy in,
Yeah.
buy in, and understanding your role, and sometimes the two don't mix.
Yep.
Sometimes you have a better guard that doesn't have a center. Sometimes you have a better center. We don't have guards. Sometimes we can shoot. Other times we can't score. So you have to find what your team does best, and then find ways to manipulate or work it out to where we can get easier shots or get more shots through a defensive pressure or through a zone. You come up. I work with a great coaching staff, so let's get that out there first. Um, and we find what we do best, and then we try to get out there and put that on display. And things we don't do well, we work our butts off to find ways to try to get that to become an asset. But the coolest thing about it is championship teams do the little things.
Yep.
And when I say little things, in basketball, I'll say they take charges, they
Yep.
get deflections, they block out, they share the ball.
Get jump
Okay.
balls. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, good teams won't block out.
Nope.
They want to be athletic. They want to shoot the first open shot. If coach calls a play, they wave it off.
Mhm.
You can be a good team, but you won't be a championship team unless you do most of all those other things. In football, you got to tackle and you got
Yep.
to block. When you got guys that won't block or guys that won't sacrifice to make that tackle,
Yeah.
that's where you lose
Exactly.
your games. So for us in the championship, we've had some great teams. I can run them off. 2004 was a great team to play in the league. 2008 was a great team. 2012 was probably a better team, but the 2018 was the best team I've ever been around.
Yeah.
But we didn't do all the little things in crucial situations. The 2024 team was the most skilled team I've ever been around. And they did all the other things. They blocked out. They played great team defense, which no one knows because we beat so many teams so bad. But it was because of great defense, not just sharing the ball and shooting good shots. It was
Yeah.
because they trusted each other defensively to be in position, and then we scored on one or two passes. And so they do all the little things great. Good teams do some things great. Some players play better some days, etc. Championship teams do all the little things.
Yeah. No, I think that's, I mean, spot on. I talked on my podcast this last week. I talked about the Suns, who are kind of failing, right?
Mhm.
With Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And I think the biggest thing that I see with them is their chemistry is off. They're not fighting for balls. They're not doing the little things as you talked about, and it just seems like they're not bought into each other, kind of what you were talking about. They seem to be playing for themselves more so than they are for each other, and I think, that's something super underrated. I think we went through this kind of super era team, um, throughout the 2010s, and I think a lot of people thought, "Oh, I just need a super team to win a championship." But I think what people didn't realize is not only is it having those skill sets, but it's also having that chemistry to play for one another that actually wins you the championship.
And it goes hand in hand. It goes
Definitely.
hand. I
You
don't
have to
watch
have
as
both.
much. I don't watch as much NBA because it's hard to unteach that to young
Yeah.
people. So we try to get them to watch more college ball. And I'm a Rockets fan. I love my Houston Rockets. Uh,
Yeah.
but they frustrated me sometimes. So I
Yep.
don't watch them as much. But the in order to be a championship team, you have to do those little things. And we can watch all the NBA teams, or let's take the Celtics last year.
Yep.
They did those little things, and when they do those
Exactly.
little things, it is what it is. It works itself out in the end.
What was your favorite team you coached? You talked about some of your best teams. I heard you talk about the 2008. I heard you talk about, I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
and then the 2024 team. Which of those teams would you say is your favorite, or do you have
Well,
one?
yeah, you have a favorite, but your favorite team don't always win.
Yeah.
They're not always. I think we did our best coaching job 7 years ago, and we were 5-29.
Yeah.
But as coaches, I think we did our best job coaching. And it was chemistry, it was player personnel, it was coaching, but we did the best we could. Mind you, 29 times, man, we sat in that locker room late at night in tears,
Yeah, exactly.
frustrated, throwing stuff, yelling at one another. Why do we do this? Who do we keep in? All those little things, but that helped us propel to where we were last year in 24. We had to learn how to win. And I
Yep.
tell people this all the time. As a former player, we didn't know how to win. We could win games, but we didn't know how to win big games.
Yep.
In Arkansas, we didn't win the big game. We always lost to a team we should not have lost to. And it wasn't because they were more talented, but they played better than we did on the day that we should have played better.
Yep.
So you try to teach the young folks this, nothing's ever guaranteed. You play your best, you prepare your best, and you don't let teams that shouldn't beat you beat you.
Yep.
And you have to learn how to win. And once you learn how to win, you don't take it for granted. You don't. You prepare to the best of your ability, and then you trust your teammates to do their job.
I also say, to add on to that too, I think you talked about, that 5-29 season really helped you guys in the long run. I think it's interesting because sometimes there's teams or programs that feel like they kind of need to lose to really understand who they are and where they need to go. And I'm not saying like that was that, but I don't know. I feel like we see with teams sometimes they need like almost a wake up call or like some sort of like learning moment for them to become who they are today or what they are later in the season.
Well, Hunter, I hope you're talking about professional, because ain't no way in heck we're gonna try to throw no game in high school to try to figure out who we
I
are.
was talking about professional,
Yeah,
yes.
professional, but it's a money game now.
Yep,
That's a money game. In high
yep,
school, we're trying to teach character, hard work,
definitely.
discipline, dedication. We're trying to teach those principles. We ain't worried about the bottom dollar,
Yep,
bottom line like they do in the NBA, or like Seattle today in football, gonna trade away your quarterback, your number one receiver, and they expect to make a profit. We don't do that in high school.
yeah,
Um, but the 5-29 was difficult as a grown man trying to, and I'm telling you, we cried. I know I
yep,
did. Had
yep,
towels on my face sometime, came home in a bad mood, but it was motivation to get better. It was motivation to try to teach better, motivation to try to take in an environment or a personality and then try to find a way to get that to work within the team concept. And so, sometimes you have to lose. I don't never talk to our kids about losing and saying I need to lose in order to win. I ain't never lost from no win, but I've learned how not to want to lose a game.
Yep.
Like if I get, do you understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I don't want
Definitely.
to lose to win. That's kind of bogus in my thought process.
Yeah.
It's hard to wrap my head around
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
that.
I completely understand what you're saying. I just what I was trying to get at is sometimes I feel like we as athletes and we as coaches learn the most about ourselves when
Yeah,
we do lose.
yeah.
I'm
When
not
you're down,
saying you want to lose or that, you're ever shooting to lose, like, oh, I should lose this game so I can learn more about myself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just
I
saying,
understand,
yeah,
and I
like,
agree with you.
yep,
And when you look inward, you learn.
yep,
When you project it out, you don't.
yeah,
Okay, we lost
exactly.
today. Why do we lose? How can we get better? What do we
Yep,
need to do? You guys got to get better. I got to get better, etc. But it's still a we deal, and we try to figure it out. And it took us a couple years to figure it out. Once we got the players and we got the philosophy and we got the foundation, then we won 25, 31, 40, 27. Then you learn to, okay, this is how we're not going to lose a game. You
yep,
know, this is how you learn to understand and then try to teach those young people that in the future you'll have the same opportunity. It may not be in sports, but it'll be life. It's making good, sound, solid decisions when you have that opportunity. It's not the easy one. I'm talking about the ones where you should be going home instead of going to the club,
yep,
or you should be studying for the test instead of hanging out with the girls. Because you fail the test and you can't play, that's on you. You can't blame the girls.
yep.
And trying to teach those things to young people is sometimes difficult.
Definitely. No, yeah. I love all the points you brought up. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up about your journey, about professional, college, high school sports, before we wrapped it up here?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and share and speak on something bigger than myself. You know,
Uh,
I'm on the sports edge most of the time, but my real job is working with young people and trying to get young people to make better decisions for their future. I work with a great team with the Student Family Services Department in Plano. I'm gonna do this a couple more years, and then I'm gonna try to get out, and my wife and I are gonna see the world in a different perspective. We've been so blessed with 7 kids and 8 grandkids, and hopefully have a couple more, and try to provide for them what was given to me as a youth, and that's motivation, inspiration, and love.
that's awesome. And it was an honor to have you on, and hear your story. You're definitely inspiring and, definitely a great person to talk to and
Thank you.
somebody I'm very excited about
Thank
coaching the next generation for sure.
you. God is good, and He's given me a platform. I'm trying to use it to the best of my ability.
All right, everyone. We'll make sure to go check out his book.
Oh yeah,
Um,
here we
Greg
go.
Thomas, everyone.
No Doubting Thomas. There you go. 5-time award-winning book. But I can promise you, the hashtag Making Believers is going to be a better perspective, and through the eyes of a coach sitting on the side and working with young people is not going to be the main crux. He's just a character amongst the other 15 and 5 coaches.
Well, I'm excited to see it come out. And, like I said, thank you once again. It was an honor. And as always, folks, make sure to stay logical and rant that nonsense.
Amen. Appreciate you, big man. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.